to welcome everybody to Let's Talk Racing tonight. We got Al Pearce sitting on the front line for right now. Everybody's running late, including myself, at starting this gig. How you doing, Al?
So you'd like to welcome them, but you haven't yet. You'd like to.
Oh, I'd like to.
Why don't you go ahead?
Well, why don't you welcome them? It's your turn.
It's your show, though.
Oh, okay. Welcome, everybody. We're going to have fun.
Turn the camera so I can't even see myself.
Oh, that's because I can on the camera.
Ah. Okay. We got a great show tonight. We got one of the best shows of all time. And there's a reason for that, but I'm not going to go into it.
You can if you want. I don't care.
If he does have to say so himself.
Absolutely. Easiest thing you ever had to do. Just cut that thing on.
Yeah, I do admit this is the easiest one. I didn't have to worry about getting people calling me back to make sure everything was going to be there.
We're going to call them. We got Trey Hutchens coming on shortly. And then we got Eddie Wood. Eddie Wood of the famous Wood Brothers team. And Eddie and his family have been part of Darlington for 65 years. And we're going to let Eddie talk about Darlington and what it means to be down there on Labor Day weekend and all that good stuff again. So as soon as, and really there's no Cup news to talk about because they were off last weekend.
Right.
Max Jones, no, not Max, Eric Jones.
Eric Jones.
Won the truck race in Canada.
Followed by Matt Crafton.
Paul Menard won the Xfinity race in Wisconsin, in his home track. Another Cup driver winning another Xfinity race. You know, I guess we've talked about it 1,000 times. You know, the young drivers, the young and up-and-coming Xfinity drivers don't have a chance.
Can't put much on your resume, can you?
You can't put much on your resume when you've run 30-some races and Cup guys have won 25 of them. So
what are you supposed to put on your hero card? That I finished second to a Cup guy 10 times?
Yeah, that might be all you can do. So. But you know, NASCAR, I think rightly so, figures if we had a standalone race that did not include any Cup drivers, we likely wouldn't get a whole lot of crowd. Now they would have gotten a crowd up in Wisconsin because they love their racing up there. But I'm not sure a standalone crowd at Richmond or a standalone crowd at Dover would do them any good. So,
well, based on what you see on television for some of the Xfinity races, I'd hate to see if they didn't have the Cup guys in the race, and if that's the case. Because they're not getting many people to come out to the Nationwide or the Xfinity stuff anyway.
It's a tough situation, but it's been that way forever. I mean, I remember back, there have been years when 26 or 27 Cup winners, Cup drivers won Nationwide or Busch races. So hopefully it'll eventually change.
Is that series losing money?
Oh, I'm sure it does. I can't imagine Xfinity paying all that much in sponsorship fees. I don't even know what Xfinity is. I mean, I know now. No. But when they came in, did anybody know what they were?
No. Everybody was going out there and Googling the hell, what was Xfinity, you know? All of a sudden they're a sponsor on the middle tier series, and who the hell, what the hell, and then they find it's part of Comcast.
I still can't get used to saying Xfinity, but it'll come eventually.
It was even a little bit sketchy when Nationwide sponsored, because you figured, I mean, Nationwide is a huge national corporation, but I don't know how many race fans change sponsorships, change their car insurance people just because Nationwide came into racing. I don't know. To me,
it's just name visibility out there.
I've always felt like, though, you need a product when you walk in a grocery store or a parts store, when you go looking for a car, you go looking for something, even clothes, even watches or whatever. You go into a place where they've got choices, and the choice you pick is the one that sponsors a car or a team or a series.
Being loyal to...
I don't know that you just wander down the hallway, and whether it's a Nationwide, Allstate, you know, I don't know whether you can actually... Certainly you can go and buy insurance from anybody.
Yeah.
But it's not a marketplace type item. So And,
well, they're hoping that, you know, boom, you have nationwide.
we got 2 races left before the chase begins, and once again, I've got to explain to people that Kyle Busch is not yet locked into the chase. People don't understand that. And I tell them all the time, he's 29th in points. He's got 4 wins. He's 29th in points. If he falls out of the top 30, he's done, no matter how many wins he's got.
So if something bad like a motor blows on the 10th lap this weekend, and then 50 laps into next week gets wrecked.
No, the next week it doesn't matter. He could win Darlington and still not make the chase.
Is that right?
Yeah, you can figure it out mathematically. You take the 2 drivers.
He can drop that far in points.
Take the driver in front of him in points, and the day that Kyle Busch wins, if that guy happens to finish close to him, the separation is not very much. Kyle is still only a few points ahead of that guy. Now, the next weekend, if Kyle blows up early or finishes near last, and this guy has a good run, he pushes Kyle back outside the top 30. So it can happen.
Yeah.
People don't believe it.
Everybody's assuming that it's a done deal.
I've never.
And you could ask a million people about it right now, and they all say the same thing.
Until these last 2 races are done, anything can happen.
I would hope that at least his team has a realistic look at it and says, you know, we got to guard what we have right now. We can't go out and do anything stupid.
They are 20-some points ahead of 30th. And they're like, well, all right, they're 24 points ahead of 30th.
Who do they have to beat?
They're 25 points ahead of 31st.
The question is the 30th place car, is that a starting part?
If he gets crashed out, if the big one at Talladega happens early.
It's just an all-guy.
Oh, okay, well, he's digging then. He's got to...
And he'll at least run all he can.
Yeah.
But, again, it doesn't matter. Kyle could win this weekend if Allgaier has a good run and the guy just in front of Kyle in points has a good run. The separation does not grow a whole lot. But if Kyle has a terrible run at Richmond, the other 2 guys have good runs, then he could be 31st after Richmond, and Justin Allgaier can be 30th. He won't make the chase, but he'll keep a 5-race winner out of the chase.
They'll have to send the rescue squad to get Darrell Waltrip if that happens.
Oh Lord!
At Talladega too, you're always worried about the big one happening at Dega.
Yeah, but Talladega's already in the chase.
But that's in the chase, though. Yeah.
That's already in.
So yeah, that can't affect him. As far as
Darlington,
the next 2 is all.
Oh, I'm sorry. The next was Darlington.
Darlington and Richmond.
That's what I meant. Darlington
either knock him into the chase or keep him out.
But Darlington's a nasty track, though.
Yeah, if he has an early wreck and he's out and he's like 42nd or 43rd, his car's totaled, he's going to be really hurt come Richmond time.
The most you can gain or lose is
what about 45
points. So, well, 45 or 47. Depends on lap leader deals. Jamie McMurray is 67 points to the good. He's that far above 16th or 17th.
Yeah.
So he's one of the 5 guys that is in on points right now. He could have 2 bad races and he'd be out. So
how much cushion does Boyer have at this point?
35.
Okay, because he had his one blow up there that he couldn't afford to have, but he's still got a chance with the 2 races that are left.
Boyer could conceivably fall out of the top 16 this weekend or next. Now, if McMurray and Newman and Menard and Gordon just kind of hold what they've got, and they go to Richmond at least 45 up, they're in. Yeah. Conceivably, all 5 could be locked in after this weekend, assuming nobody new wins. So, what do you think?
I'm listening.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Well, I was thinking the Gordon camp, with this being his victory run here, that his camp should be a little bit nervous. I mean, I think they feel like they got the right equipment.
He's 50 some points ahead.
Yeah.
So he's in pretty good shape.
But they They don't want to be not part of the chase.
Well,
at this point.
Yeah.
Where they sit now and do races later, to not be in the chase would hurt.
I think you're smart enough to probably know what to do to get in. Now, point standings, Roger, that doesn't reflect the chase standings. Yeah, that does.
Yep.
The other one doesn't.
And this gives you down through the 16.
Yeah, that's a chase grid right there.
But it doesn't give you the points for anybody underneath.
Well, there's such a gap between 16th and 17th.
Yeah.
I don't believe anybody thinks Arik Almirola can do that good in 2 races to make up that spot. So he's right now. Boyer is 32 ahead of the 17th place man. I don't think that those people think anybody can catch him. I mean, Almirola, I don't think can do it, but maybe. All right, we make our first phone call.
Oh, we could probably do that.
Yeah, I told him about 15 after or 10 after.
Since we're making it doesn't matter. If the volume drops down, push the up arrow. If it's too loud, push the down arrow.
You do all the introductions.
Oh, so I do have to do something. Hey Trey, how you doing tonight? This is Roger with Let's Talk Racing. How you? We got Al Pearce, Jerry Rosser, Scott Brown in the house tonight with us. We'll have another person showing up shortly. Going to have some fun with you because we know you're coming to Langley here this weekend.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Give us a short bio. Oh, sorry, Al. Did you have a question?
No, you go ahead. Let him do his. Just tell us about yourself, about your career, how you got where you are, and then we'll start grilling you with some tough questions.
Well, started not like any young racer. It's been in my family. I'm a 4th generation racer. My great grandfather ran the first race at Bowman Gray Stadium. You know, they say the rest is history. So it's been in my family. It's been in my blood. And I started my start with quarter midgets, and then progressed into the Ford Focus midgets at that time. Now I think they call it the Ignite midget. And then do a limited late model, the late model stock car, and then ran my first K&N race same year I started late models. And then now this year we ran a mixture between the K&N series and the Wheeler Modified Tour.
Now you're what, 18 or 19, 17 or 18 years old? Is that right?
17. Yes,
okay,
sir.
and you're in high school, of course.
Yes, sir. Senior year.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm going to ask you the same question we often ask fairly young drivers around here on this program, and the reason being there are a number of drivers who have sat down and they have mapped out their career all the way through whatever. They want to be in a K&N car by a certain year. They want to be in a truck by a certain age. They want to be in Xfinity by a certain point. They want to be a Cup rookie by a certain year. And they've kind of set deadlines and goals. Other guys, and girls, just kind of take it as it comes along. Have you and your father sat down and sort of mapped out your career, Trey, or do you take it as it comes?
You know, this sport's pretty unpredictable. The people that have, you know, mapped out the careers are really the ones fortunate enough to have the funding. And you know, in this day and age, the money's the biggest thing. It drives everything. And I mean, if you have the funding behind you, you can about lay out your own schedule. But you know, when you're dependent upon sponsorship and you know the market is volatile as it is, it's hard to just map it out when you're trying to do it the way I am. So I don't have a set schedule. Next year I turn 18, so the floodgates open, so as far as the National Series goes. But I don't have a map. I'm just thankful to be in a race car when I can be, and hopefully at some point I can get back to being one every weekend if some sponsorship opinion.
Now you're running the Southern Modified Tour this year. I would think that a number of young drivers who are looking to eventually get the Cup might think that a late model program with more so-called stock cars would be better. Why are you concentrating with a modified instead of running late models at, say, South Boston or Kenley or Hickory or Langley or somewhere like that? What's the reasoning behind that?
Really just my pedigree. You know, my family's raced modifieds for 60 years, so I feel it's something that, in essence, I have to do. That I love the modified race. I tell everybody all the time, you know, at heart, I'm a modified racer. And if I could, I'd race modifieds every weekend and forget stock car stuff. But, you know, if you're going to make it to the Sprint Cup Series, like you said, you have to run Fender stock body cars. So you can't do it, but at the same time, it's where my heart is. So, you know, it's a double-edged sword. I love the modified race, but at the end of the day, I need to be in the K&N Series as much as I can be, because that's going to get me where I need to be.
Okay. You got something?
Yeah. Do you have a racer that you admire, that you look up to?
He may not have heard you.
Hello? Did we lose him?
You still there?
I think we lost him.
I think we lost him.
What happened, Roger? Did you hang up on him?
No, y'all have to hang up there.
I went and touched him.
He may be on his cell phone and drop the signal. Hard to tell where he's calling from tonight.
In order to complete this call, you must dial the area code and the telephone number.
What?
Thank you for using.
Oh, Roger, kill us.
Maybe it didn't see a number.
Hi, this is Trey. I'm unable to get to the phone right now.
I'm busy on an interview. He must still be talking, you know?
Please record your message.
One of the best answers he's ever given.
Let's just try one more time. He may have hung up by now.
Well, he should have caller ID. He should be dialing you back right now,
Right.
shouldn't
Theoretically.
Poor
he?
kid.
Like if he knew that it dropped, he should be hitting resend.
In order to complete this call, you must dial the.
Too fast.
Hey, we lost you there for a second.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Okay, go ahead. One of our other people has a question for you. Go ahead.
Hi Trey, this is Jerry. I was just wondering, do you have a race car driver that you admire, that you look up to?
I have a lot of guys I look up to, but at the end of the day, I look up to Tony Stewart probably the most. He's a real stand-up guy, and at the same time, he can drive anything. And Jimmy Johnson as well. He's a complete package. Those are probably two guys I look up to the most.
Well, Roger's giving you a thumbs up.
But you.
I look up to Ryan Newman as well. His engineering background, kind of the path I'm leading as well.
But you grew up at a time when your dad was working, I think, with Childress and Earnhardt. You must have been around Earnhardt a fair amount when you were a kid.
Not as much as you'd think. I was still fairly young. Yeah.
Okay.
I was only 2 years old, so I don't recollect any memories at all. I've heard all the stories, though. I could listen to them tell stories every day, but as far as recollection goes, I really don't remember a whole lot.
Tell us what makes modified racing so much fun.
It's just grassroots, and like I said, it's where my heart is. It's where you've grown up your whole life. It has a special dip to it, as far as, if someone else might not have the passion I have, but, it's grassroots. To me, they're real race cars. It's just fun. It's where I want to be. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's sad
Are those cars more difficult than full-body covered late model stock cars?
I wouldn't say more difficult, but I'd say the discipline's, 180 degrees different. So it's completely different, so it's really hard to give a measuring stick. But they're fun to drive. They're a lot more fun to drive than a stock car.
Oh, okay. Now, you have raced at Langley before, or will this be your first time?
Yes, sir. I made my K&N debut at Langley in 2013.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And we raced the modified race in the spring at Langley, so it'll be my third time there, second in the modified.
Okay. And I know you've not turned a lot of laps at Langley. I know you've done it all you could, but is it, to a guy who's never raced, and that would be me, people say how difficult it is because it's flatter than most tracks. Do you find it to be particularly challenging?
Yes, Langley is a real technical track, which is a little in my wheelhouse, I feel, but it's definitely one of those places, the more laps you have around it, the better you're going to be. And that's kind of what we fight with the modifieds, is that the people I'm racing against have been running for the series for 20 years. Like I said, the modified racing is a family thing, so when you're racing against guys who've been to Langley 40 times in a modified, it's hard to compete, but at the same time, it's a challenge and I enjoy it.
Oh, okay.
Being that you're so young, do you participate in any other sports? Football, baseball, or anything? Or just racing?
I used to. It's kind of an all or nothing thing. Once you decide that you're going to race, you've about got to give it all up. But before I played all three. I played baseball, football, basketball.
Oh, okay, good.
Does school ever interfere with your racing? I know your dad said, when I wanted to call you today, he said, he doesn't get home from school till 4 o'clock. Do you have to get permission to leave school to go racing, or do your teachers and principals sort of accept that?
Yes and no. My school works with me really well, because I do miss days. I'll miss a day here coming up for Richmond in the K&N car, and I'll miss 2 for Dover. So it definitely interferes, but I'm fortunate enough to have a school that's willing to work with me and work with me to get my work done on time, and at the same time still be able to go race.
Do your classmates, they obviously they know you race, do they, they think it's pretty, do they think you're special to be a race car driver?
Yeah, they think it's cool, but I don't think they quite understand the scope of quite where I'm at. But at the same time, they definitely think it's cool I drive race cars.
Does it help get chicks? Well, I just wondered. It might be too late for me, but not for somebody else.
I'm not going to give away secrets there.
Okay.
Well, I want to tell your wife you're hunting for chicks already.
No. That's not fair.
Well, you just broadcasted to the world.
Well, not exactly the world, but a few people.
He's not denying it.
It's out there forever.
There's not that many people heard it.
Now, the K&N car, now, I'm going to give you a chance now to plug a local sponsor. I understand that one of the auto dealerships up here in this part of Virginia is helping you a little bit this weekend. If you'd like to give them a plug, feel free to go ahead.
Yeah, we're going off the old cliche, but we're going to change it a little bit. We're going to win on Saturday and sell on Monday. We're happy to have Hampton Chevrolet on our modified for Langley this weekend, as well as B&C Seafood.
Hampton Chevrolet is where I bought my Camaro convertible, by the way. So I've got a relationship with those folks.
I drive a Camaro as well.
Okay. You have a convertible?
Yes, sir.
You do?
No.
Oh, you don't? Okay. I had mine tricked out to the point where I didn't like the spoiler on my Camaro because it doesn't look very sporty. So I had an aftermarket spoiler put on that it looks like a race car. It sticks up. So
you got that new high downforce package.
Yeah, I got the downforce. 35 miles an hour it really has a lot of effect.
He goes 40 and a 35 all the time.
Yeah, I won't. Yeah, I told your dad today when I talked to him that I will not be at Langley this weekend. I'm going to Darlington, but I will see you people at Richmond next weekend. And I'll have my Camaro convertible down there, and I'll take you out and show it to you and let you ooh and ah, 'cause it's pretty tricked out for an old guy's car.
Are you going to let me drive it?
Just around in circles.
Yeah, right.
Only if you turn left.
Left.
Trey, let me ask you a difficult question. And if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. I know that several years ago, you and your dad had a terrible loss in your family. Your mother died. And I'm curious as to whether she would be happy with your career choice, or did she know that you were going to be a driver? Was it always in your upbringing that you'd be a driver? And just sort of, how does that feel to know your dad is there pulling for you, but not your mom?
My dad and I talk about it all the time. If she was living, I don't know if I would be racing, if you want to know the truth. I've sat in the grandstand with her many a times when my dad was racing and thought she was about to strangle me to death just watching, nervous with him. So, but I know she's there watching every week. She got to watch me run my first quarter midget race, and that was it.
Okay.
But I know she's there every week, but she probably wouldn't be too happy with the circumstances and the scope of where my career's headed. But yeah, like I said, I watched her watch my dad race quite a few times, and she wasn't the biggest fan.
And your dad is quite famous. A lot of people talk about the Hans device that drivers use. Your dad developed a head and neck restraint system called the Hutchens device that a lot of people use. You must feel awfully proud of him for that part of his racing career.
Absolutely. I mean, I may be a little biased, but I feel he's a true pioneer of the sport. You know, I think he's right there with the Woods, et cetera, et cetera. I truly do feel that. He's the smartest guy I've ever met, and what he did there, he really opened the door to a lot of the head and neck restraint systems we have today, which that are pivotal. You can't really say the magnitude they've had on the sport and the safety aspect.
I know that every weekend during the fall when I see him, and oftentimes in the winter or early spring, he'll talk to me about NC State football and basketball. So tell him when I think State plays this weekend, certainly next weekend, and tell him when I see him at Richmond, we'll talk a little college football.
All right, yeah, I'm looking forward to the college football to start as well. Go back.
I guess you have to be a State fan.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be there here, 365 days starting my freshman year.
Okay.
It's a good school. Even though I went to Duke, State still was okay.
Trey, listen, thanks for your time. We appreciate you calling in. Sorry we dropped you there for a few minutes. I'm going to... Oh, by the way, before I forget, Marty O'Brien, the reporter who's going to talk to you, asked me to ask you what would be the best time tomorrow for him to call you, because he's ready to do a story about you and your dad, and he doesn't know exactly what would be a good time.
Probably anytime after 3:45. I'll be in school, morning to afternoon, so anytime after 3:45 would work for me.
Okay, you say 2:45 or 3?
3:45.
3.
Okay. All right, I will tell him when I see him tomorrow at lunch, and I'll have him call you then at 3:45.
All right, that sounds perfect.
Okay.
Hey, Trey, at least I'll come out and visit you Saturday at the track.
I'm looking forward to it. Sounds good. I look forward to it.
Listen, take care of yourself. Thanks so much. Give your dad my regards. Tell him I'll see him at Richmond, and we'll talk some football or stuff like that.
All right. Thank you guys very much for having me.
Good night.
Good night.
Yes, Hampton Chevrolet's going to sponsor him at the modified race.
Cool.
Which is good.
You get hooked up with Ashton for that one?
I'm not a sponsor. I'm not a sponsor hunter. I don't want to be out there finding sponsors for everybody.
When you quit your day job, then you might think about that.
But I've known it's funny, he's right. He's a fourth generation racer. His great grandfather, I'm sure, raced early in the late 40s at Bowman Gray. Then his grandfather raced, and his father, Bobby, raced, and might still. Bobby Hutchens may still race a little bit. Not every weekend, I don't think, but, you know, every now and then.
That's his grandfather or great grandfather wouldn't have been. Was that the Hutchens that was at Langley racing back?
Oh,
in
no.
Or was that Hutchison?
That was Gene Hutchison.
Okay.
A different cat altogether.
All these crazy people.
All right.
Okay, we're ready to try this again.
Yeah. Should we wait for Colin? Is he?
He should be wrapped up right about
Okay,
now.
we'll wait for him for a second.
I was gonna say I can run out there.
By the way, people.
It's a very good article. Yes, I just finished reading that. So.
Copy of all. You see, that's not us.
That's
We're not.
Yeah, but see, it's on a little delay there. See, watch, you're gonna reach over and grab the magazine now. Watch yourself.
How long a delay is that?
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Just in case you slip there, Al,
That's
they gotta have a little delay.
20 seconds.
It's a little longer than what you might normally expect. So.
Yeah, well, I think.
Yeah, it's a good article.
Maybe Roger.
The subject of the article, I'm not necessarily crazy about, but it's a good article.
Which one?
Your article here in this magazine.
Oh.
About,
They actually had one of his that made it to the magazine.
Yeah.
All right.
Once in a while. Kyle Busch, you got a nice little one-pager on there about his odds of being able to get in the chase at the beginning of the year.
That was written probably 3 weeks ago.
And I kind of forgot that it was 11 races into the season before, because I guess I was still thinking that he had run at least one Cup race early in the year before his accident, but that was the first race.
Daytona.
Yeah, the day before the first race. So,
Yep.
wow. Yeah, so
we got to practice it, but not put it to it. He's finishing up his survey.
Okay, that's cool.
Then he will be back here.
Well, go ahead and call them up. You don't have to wait.
Yeah, let's call Eddie
Right?
Wood.
You don't want to make them wait.
All right.
And you don't want to have...
Yeah, use this one because I can do the
I
volume.
hate to think that at 8 o'clock Al's going to tell one of the Wood brothers he's got to go eat.
I will though.
Well, it's nice chatting with you. I got to go eat. There you go.
Finally.
Fly through there,
Slip on
chicken leg.
Leave that there. Oh, God, tight fit. Don't knock down the NASCAR thing there. We're going by a
Here, there. You got it.
Oh, there's my buddy.
Hello.
Eddie Wood. Al Pearce.
Yes, sir.
You there?
I'm here.
Okay. This won't take long. It'll be painless. And,
Famous last words.
At some point in time, we'll look back and laugh at this. Anyway,
Anyway.
yeah, right. We've done that before, haven't we? Just to let people know who we've got, Eddie Wood from Stewart, Virginia, part of the second generation with he and his brother of Wood Brothers Racing. Of course, their father, Glenn Wood, a NASCAR Hall of Famer. Their uncle, Leonard, a NASCAR Hall of Famer. Their father and their uncle are in the Virginia Sport Hall of Fame due to a great deal of work by someone at this table who will remain nameless.
I'm on the other side.
So Eddie and Lynn and Mr. Wood and Leonard, we've been friends for a long time. And Eddie, the reason we wanted to talk to you tonight was that we've talked about this, you and I and Lynn, the fact that after 13 years of wandering in the wilderness, the Southern 500 is back.
Right.
Tell us what that means to you and your family.
Well, I mean, I started going to Darlington, you know, they used to have the race actually on Labor Day, which is a Monday, always a Monday. They never raced on Sunday in South Carolina. And we would always go down, and sometimes we would go down for the weekend, like on a Friday or Saturday. I'm speaking to my mom and my brother because we were too young to. You couldn't get in the garage till you was like 15, and you know we weren't there yet. But sometimes we would go to Myrtle Beach and stay over there, and then come back, you know, on Sunday night and go back to the hotel. And but I can remember, I guess the first 500 I went to was probably in '66. Darrell Derringer won it.
he was driving a Bud Moore, and I think it was a Mercury Comet. Kelly Yarborough was driving our car, and I think some happened to us during the race, but I was actually sitting in the, they used to have this little grandstand coming off of what is now turn 2.
Mm-hmm.
We're saying it was turn 4, but it's like a family grandstand, and all the kids, that's close as they could get to the pit. So I actually set that whole race with Darryl Derringer Jr. They called him Demon Derringer. That was his name, and he's about my age. And I remember when his dad, they took the white flag, and as he was coming, off the turn 4 there to get the checker, he ran down the steps out through the grass, trying to get on pit road. He was barefooted. Now I don't know how he made it from where we were to Victory Lane barefooted, as hot as it was, the asphalt and everything, but he did. But that's probably my first memory of the Southern 500.
What is your best memory of a Southern 500 involving your team, your family team?
Well, we got a lot of those, I guess. We've got, I think somebody told me today, we won it 4 times. Once with Kel Yarborough, once with Neil Bonnet, and the other 2 with Pearce. I wasn't there for the one with Cale. I was at school. But I was there for the other 3. And all 3 of those were, equally, exciting. The one with Pearson was probably the most, just because that particular year was 76, and he had won the Daytona 500. He had went to and won the World 600, Coke 600 they call it now, but it's World 600 then. And then to win Darlington, which they call that, winning the Triple Crown. And you don't hear much about that now, but it was a big deal back then. And to win all 3 of those in 1 year is a big deal any time. But that's probably the most memorable. But the others were equally the same. And then even races we didn't win, they were always exciting. I mean, I think Darlington is one of the most exciting races, all year, and always has been. Because you never know what's going to happen. It's a narrow track. It's a 40-mile-an-hour racetrack that they run, 180 on. So it makes things happen, and things happen quick. And, anyway, that's one of my favorite places.
Let me ask one more question, then I'll let the rest of the panel take over for a minute. And I hate to bring up a bad subject, but you've known me long enough.
You're going to do it anyway, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, but you don't have to answer. The day, everybody was there the day the wheels came off and Pearson left early, or y'all miscommunicated and all. Is there anything about that moment that the public might not really understand? Was it your fault or David's fault, or what happened that day when the pit stop really kind of ended that relationship?
I was in on it. And I think it could have been mostly my fault. We came down pit road, and I think Darryl Walton was leading the race. It was Darryl and Cale. Darryl was in that Gatorade car, that green and white one. Remember that? He was pitching just ahead of us, and we came down pit road. I think we were running 4th and 5th, and when we came down, we were going to change 4 tires, and Darryl changed 2. But when he dropped off the jack, we were almost done with the right side. We came in later, and I don't think the message ever got to David that we're going to change 4. Because back then, there was a lot of 2-tire stuff that went on, especially at Darlington, because the tires stayed, really bounced every which way. Actually, Junior Johnson's crew helped, get the thing back up, put the tires back on it. But that was, it was just a miscommunication, and it was a bad deal. And the whole thing, people talk about making mistakes and in their lives, their careers, stuff like that. But to me, and I think everyone in my family would agree with this, that's probably the single biggest mistake that our race team ever made. In fact, it's bigger than the single most big mistake. It's first and second.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how big it is. This should never happen. And I think about it a lot because I was part of it. And I'll think about that day. Every time I see David, we go down and see David quite a bit. It'll run through my mind, you mentioned the word Darlington, that pops in my head, so I guess I'll be stuck with that from now on. But like I said, we've got a great relationship with David now. It all worked out. In fact, David came back a year and a half later, and won the Southern 500 himself. And I think it was Osterlund's car, because I think Earnhardt was hurt. I think he broke the collarbone at Pocono, and David was driving for him. He came back and won the Southern 500 the next year, so he kind of redeemed it, got it back to himself. And a few years later, we won it again. So racing has a way of making things kind of work out. And then he and David, and my dad, and uncle, they all wound up at the Hall of Fame. So that brings everything back together. And the Hall of Fame has a way of fixing things.
Yeah. Was it Osterlund's car, or was it Hoss Ellington?
No, it was the Osterlund's car. I think it was number 2, it was yellow.
Okay. So I thought he won. I thought he won a race or two in Hoss's car late in his career.
He did. He won the spring race in Hoss's car.
Oh, okay.
And they may have won two.
Okay.
But that particular day it was number 2. It was yellow and blue. I mean, I can remember all that stuff, and I can't tell you what I had for breakfast. But I can remember those days, and and I guess it's because it was such a big event and it meant so much. But like I said, it's something that should have never happened, but it did. But everything's good now, so that's really all that matters.
We got a couple other people on the panel that I'm sure have got questions for you. So
okay.
If you'll just be patient, and they will ask you questions also.
All right.
All right.
Well, happy.
All right. Hey, this is Colin Brown, local legend car driver here in Virginia. I got a few questions.
Sir, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I got a few questions. So for a limited schedule team, how hard is this year's NASCAR rule changes and race packages made it for your team?
You're talking about the new aero packages that
yes.
they've been doing. We got rained out at Kentucky. We didn't get to race there, so we didn't get to try the downforce, the low downforce. But we're really good at practice, and we've got an alliance now with Team Penske, and both those cars ran really, really well. So I think we would have had a good night. We just didn't get to, but we ran the high downforce at Indy and in Michigan, and it was okay. I mean, I'm not sure that anybody got what they were really hoping for, but they tried it. I think this low downforce package is probably going to be a better combination. Just the fact that NASCAR would consider doing that, just like, okay, everybody agrees to it, we're going to go do it. Okay, and they did. And they're trying to get the cars where they are more competitive with each other. The clean air phenomena that one car gets gone so quickly, and the lead. They're trying to figure out how to make that not so may be exactly what they're looking for. Right? You know, we're going to try it here at Darwin. You know, no one knows, but that's one cool thing about it. The fans, you know, the media, the drivers, the teams, we don't really know any more than you guys do. You know, it's what it's really going to do. But I think that's pretty cool.
So, how much time and effort is saved by having the alliance with Penske?
That's really working well. You know, we're in our first year of that, and it's been a really
We lost you? You still there?
Hello?
We lost him again.
No.
Hold on, we'll call you back. Roger's good at this.
What if it's a storm outside? Wait,
I don't know.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that. But
yeah.
turn that one off. We'll go back over here since we got the squirrel here now.
I'm closer this time.
Let that a cute shot of my butt.
okay, Al cut me off.
You hadn't paid your phone bill.
I know what it was. You're walking around in there and you knocked the fire out of the wall.
He knows you real well, Al.
He does know. Anyway, you were talking about what?
The alliance with Penske.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yes. I was talking about that. That's really kind of really good thing for us. They're you know, we're tied into their engineering program, and you know, they build the chassis and hang the bodies and things, and it's just they treat us really like family, like we've been there all along, and it's really special. You know, Roger Penske, and we've known my family's, you know, been friends with Roger for just a while, back in the early 70s. I mean, I was at Riverside, California when, you know, Roger brought Mark Donahue out there with that Matador, and won that race that they just wore everybody out. So it's really been a good relationship, and you know, it just really makes you look forward to going to the racetrack every week.
Eddie, I'm sure you're not going to reveal any state secrets tonight, but is there a point this fall when we might hear about what your plans are for next year? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work behind the scenes going on, you know, to try to get, you know, more races. This year we had our 12 motocross quick lane races, and Team Penske figured out a way to do about 6 more with some, you know, some partners of theirs, and that's worked out really well for us. You know, we're really appreciative of that. There's a lot of people, you know, working to get us more races, and hopefully that'll work out. And it'll probably be another month or so before we'll know, you know, exactly what's going to happen. But I'll find you first. Well, I know where to find you. At any steak and shake in town, you'll be there. So that's a cool deal.
Oh yeah.
Let me ask you one more question. I'll let somebody else ask a question here. When you and Lynn were growing up, you and your brother were growing up, was there ever any doubt that your career would be within the family business? Did either of you ever want to do anything else other than chase women?
Racing and women. I mean,
that's what it's all about.
No, we you know, we grew up working on them, or you know, hanging around the shop after school. Our shop was just down the street from where I went to high school, and Lynn also. And you know, we worked there after after school, and in fact, when we were in the 12th grade, you could get out early if you had a job. So, okay, I got a job, I'm going to go to the shop. But we were just cleaning things up, and you know, we were just helpers of, you know, our Uncle Leonard. And but really, there was never, you didn't really think about it. You just couldn't wait to get old enough to be that guy changing a tire, or be that guy that was holding the skid forward. I remember, you know, my uncles, my dad, he's a driver. We never really got into the driving part of it. I don't really know why. It wasn't encouraged at all. We just never really even considered it. It was more like, you want to be on the pit crew, you want to wear it. When you get you a uniform, that's a big deal to get you a shirt. It's like, that's, you're just a kid, and you looked up to all these guys, and they were your heroes, and the drivers that, that driven, my dad's car. I mean, you're talking, Pearce and Yarborough, Foyt, Gurney, and, all those guys, Hanch, Turner. All those guys are heroes. They're heroes to me now just as much as they were then. And you just wanted to be a part of that.
Yes?
Hi, my name is Jerry, and my son, he's always wanted to do a mechanic on pit road. Do you have any strong advice for him as to where to start looking or where to go?
Just like any parent's going to say, get that education first.
Right, he's done that,
And,
yes.
and if you want, now, the kind of kids that race teams really look at is, obviously kids with engineering backgrounds. And, now with, if he wants to be a pit crew member,
Yeah.
Change tires or something like that, they have auditions. Each team kind of has I'm not sure it's on websites or anything like that, but they usually people know that, they have tryouts. That's a tough deal, being a pit crew member. I mean, I changed tires for 15 years, but, when I was changing tires, a good 4-tire stop was 17 seconds. Now they'll throw you out of the racetrack, you have 17 seconds to get stopped.
Right.
But, the guns are different now, and the way they do it's different. A lot of things have changed, but, getting, if he wants to work on cars, your engineering is a big deal. Being a fabricator is really big too, because most of the things you have to make on race cars are handmade.
Right.
And welding, having a welding background where you can, TIG weld, you weld aluminum and steel as well, and just being really good with your hands, which follows through with being a good pit crew member too.
So he
racing's a tough life, so you need to warn him about it.
Right. Yeah. So he would just go online and look for.
Yeah, the pit crew that's with us now is this group that does the Xfinity for Blaney's car on Saturday, or the 22 car. Is the group that handles us on Sunday, so they're actually handled by Team Penske. But and a lot of people are doing that now. The bigger teams, have a bigger pool of people.
Right.
And they have your groups that's like on the tough guys that are on the 1, 2, 3 teams, or 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. I mean, it's in a group. And then you have the Xfinity group, and then a lot of times they'll even have training. A team that they're getting up to speed that they'll let other teams have or use for the weekend and stuff like that. And
right.
The truck series, to get started, if you haven't have any experience, you pretty much need to start in truck series. It's much easier to if you get in somebody with a truck deal. Not only you need to do a lot of other things. When you get to a cup level, everything is kind of specialized.
Right.
But as you get down into the truck teams, like if you're a tire changer, well, if you can weld and you do some engineering or fabricate or drive a hauler or whatever, those kind of teams are looking for multi-talented people. And
okay. Well, he can do just about. Yeah, he can do just about all of that.
Yeah, right.
So I'll give him this information.
You'll make it, man.
All right.
Hey,
I'll
Eddie.
give him the information there. Thank you.
Eddie, got a couple of questions off the internet. One of the ones that everybody's wanting to know: who was your biggest prankster driver that you had on y'all's teams?
Who was talking about? Excuse me, I didn't hear you. What question?
Which driver was your biggest prankster that you had racing for you guys?
Prankster?
Yes.
David Pearson was a pretty big jokester. He used to hide from Leonard all the time. We get ready to qualify. And, cars out there on pit road, and you're in line, and you're supposed to go at a certain time. And you get to looking for him. He's gone. And he would hide behind another car or somewhere. And my brother and I always knew he was hiding, because he did it every week. But Leonard would still make us go find him. Like, it's getting time, and where's he at? Well, we knew he was watching, but we had to go find him anyway. Because he was a lot of fun. Kyle Petty was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with Kyle. Kyle drove our car from 85 through 88, I think, and we had a blast with him. He's about the same age as Lynn and I, younger than us actually, but a lot of people said that there was no way that a kid that was come from the Petties could fit in with our team because we were rivals for so long. But it worked. It's like, I consider Kyle Petty my other brother right now. He fit in so well with us, and he grew up like we did, and he knew all the ins and outs of a family team and how it operated because he lived it. So him and Pearson was probably the two that really was the most fun.
And you and your brother and your dad and your uncle, y'all are very close to Dale Inman. So there's another There's another relationship that fans may not understand because he was on one side and you were on the other. But you and Dale and that crowd, y'all are all pretty good buddies.
Great friend, and actually I talked to Dale today. We talk about once a week. Even if it's a racetrack, we talk every day. But if it's not at the racetrack, we talk about once a week. And Lynn and I were really friends with Dale. I told this story this past week when we were at Bristol. The first race I went to with my dad that I could get in the garage or the pit. We unloaded the car, and he said, "Here, we got to walk over here. There's someone I want you to meet. There's some people you got to meet now that you're in here." I said, "Okay." We walked over. He introduced me to Lee Petty, Richard Petty, Dale Inman, and Maurice Petty. Those were the first four people I knew outside my family, other guys that drove our car that was, in the racing business. We just, for some reason, got attached to Dale, and we used to, if we had trouble, this was in the 70s when David and Richard were, nose to tail almost every week. One would win or the other would win, but if we had trouble, like, broke or fell out of the race, Lynn and I would go down to Dale's pit and hang out in their pit till the race was over. So, that's, not a lot of people know that, but it's a true story.
Cool. What do you think about the throwback schemes on the paint schemes everybody's trying to do on their cars? I think somebody told me they got like 31 of them already that are doing them.
I didn't understand that question either.
The paint schemes at Darlington this weekend, there are apparently 31 cars have got a throwback deal, including yours.
Yeah, and ours is a little different. We're sponsored by Snap-on Tools this weekend, and when we all got to talking about the throwback deal for Darlington, we run our paint scheme is kind of retro every week as it is with Motorcraft and Quick Lane. It's red white like it always was through the 70s with David and Cale, Bonnet, and all those guys. So we came up with a deal. From the number rearward, our car has got 2,000 pictures, which are about 2 inches square. It's like a mosaic. And it's pictures that they're all black and white. And the pictures from 1950 all the way up to probably the mid-90s. It actually go all the way up to now. But they are, my mom kept every picture that anybody had ever gave them through the years. We had them all digitized to where you could kind of to keep up with them and organize them. And they came up with that scheme, so we were like, okay, we've got, right here's a stick with 2,000 pictures on it. Here you go. And they made a wrap, and it's really cool. It's you see a lot of different hairstyles on a lot of things. I tell you that. But the other guys, I think it's the coolest thing that anybody could ever think of. I'd always wanted to go to a race somewhere, and everybody runs, old school paint schemes. And I think the ones I've seen, the 15 car is going to be really cool because it's a Bud Moore, Buddy Baker car. And Kyle's is really cool, that 42, and just so many of them. And I'm hoping that, I don't know whether they were going to do this or not, but I'm really hoping that every year we go race at Darlington, they just pick a decade or, half a decade or something. Okay, everybody runs from those. And what I really would think would be cool is if everyone dressed like that, because we got to make the race down here. We got to hope it doesn't rain and all that, so we get into that deal. But if we make the race on Sunday, we've got white pants with a red stripe down the leg, and we've got remember those Converse All Stars, the boat cut?
Yeah.
That's the shoe. This is what my dad wore in the '60s. So we look kind of funny, but we're gonna give it a shot.
What is your favorite track?
I like the super speedways. I guess Daytona would be my favorite. And I get, we've had a lot of success there and all that, but I like all of them. I mean, I like the short tracks. I like, Richmond, Martinsville, Bristol. But I like the speedways too. I really, I'd say a favorite would be Daytona, but beyond Daytona, they're all about equal. And I like road racing. Road racing to me is really exciting now because there's so much that goes wrong. There's so much strategy involved in it now with gas mileage and, you never know what's going to happen there. So I think that's a cool place too.
Any place that has a steak and shake.
Yeah, that helps. That helps. They're getting around. They're as far west now as Texas. We'll go to Texas. Of course, the main steak and shake that we grew up, couldn't wait to get to was in Daytona Beach, and that's just probably the first one we ever went to, and that would probably be, I'm going to say, 1962. And they haven't tried a steak and shake. You need to do that.
The money that you and your brother have spent at that place
They should own one by
over
now.
the years is just, every time I see you, every morning I see you at Daytona, y'all have just been there. And this is like 40 years worth, so.
Oh yeah, we that's kind of a tradition, especially at Daytona. But anywhere there is one, we eat breakfast there. 2 hamburgers, ketchup only, 2 Cokes, 2 fries. No matter if it's 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever it is, that's what we get. And now Steak and Shake's actually sponsoring an Indy car with Ray Hall. So I'm glad they got it racing. I wish they got it NASCAR racing, but it's good to see them doing that. And kind of a new category that may bring some other sponsors. But, we really got good great sponsors in our world that Ford Motor Company's been with us for our whole entire 65 years. We've raced Fords, and kind of really proud of that. They've stuck with us when things weren't so good, and they've been with us when things were good. So it's really you got a really good family bond with Ford.
All right, everybody gets one more question, then we got to go. Colin, you got a question?
Yeah. So looking back at the early years of NASCAR and the rivals and the passion that the drivers had, how much do you feel that today's media exposure and big corporate sponsors have changed the way that drivers act or handle themselves on the track and compete?
well, things are, you know, I guess things are more proper now. And you know, social media to me, has changed the way things are looked at, and you know, not only in races but in everything. You know, you got, you know, these Fortune 500 companies spending tons of money on our race teams, and you know, you can't, you know, misbehave or do something. You can't embarrass your sponsors, and so you know, I think everybody does a really good job at that. But it's certainly different than, you know, when you really didn't have much sponsorship and you just were, you know, the drivers could pretty much do whatever they want to do, say whatever they want to say. But you know, now everybody's, you know, you just got to be respectful of the people that support you, and you know, say the right
race Fords?
The right things
Did they
to each other. You know, when drivers, you know, get angry with each other over this or that, you just got to be careful with that. And,
yeah, you just said that.
but you know, NASCAR's kind of opened it up now to where you know, that have at it thing they said a few years ago. They brought up Pemberton on that race, but you know, they still are allowed to be drivers or to be themselves, and you see it every now and then. You don't see it every week, but you know, when things get heated and it's just chase gets, you know, we're closer to chase, and I think you're going to see some more of that. And I think it's healthy. I think they, you know, as long as everybody keeps in mind that, you know, you gotta say the right thing. You just can't. You just got to be respectful. I guess that's what I'm saying.
All right, your turn.
Yeah, tell me something interesting about Trevor Bain and Ryan Blaney.
Okay, Trevor's, you know, our most recent big moment ever, maybe the biggest moment we ever had, you know, winning the 500 with him.
Yes, exciting day.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
I didn't know the kid was young.
Yeah, it was totally unexpected that day. We thought we were going to run, you know, it's going to be okay if we ran top 5, and that's kind of all you can ask with Daytona. You don't ask more than it'll give you. But there at the end, when David Reagan got penalized for starting too early, we were the lead car. And I thought, man, we're done now, because we hadn't had good restarts all day. And for some reason, that thing went, and we got a really good push from Bobby Labonte, and you know, it all worked out. But you know, Trevor's a great kid. You know, we had a lot of fun together, and he's you know, he's over at Roush, which is another Ford, kind of a, you know, it's kind of, we're all in the same Ford family, and I'm glad he stayed. You know, he was able to stay with Ford.
Yes.
But he's a really cool kid. They're expecting, I think, a little girl soon to get a wife. That's really cool.
Yes.
And Ryan is kind of the Iceman. Very quiet. Never gets excited. Just kind of does his deal, and you know, I think he's going to be the next big deal. And we're really proud. You know, he's driving our car now. You know, you got a handful of guys that are the next wave of great drivers. You know, that's really young. You got Ryan, you got Chase Elliott, and Eric Jones, and you know, I think they're going to be the next big deal, next big three, whatever you want to call it. And we're just honored to be a part of that. Big Ryan.
Good.
All right, I got one more thing, then I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
Because I know you want to head to Darlington pretty soon. Earlier in the program, we mentioned that your dad and your brother, your uncle, are in the Virginia Sport Hall of Fame. I don't know if I told you this. Maybe I did, but if I didn't, I'm going to say it now publicly. My initial effort toward your family was for everybody. Your dad, all of your uncles, you and Lynn and your sister, it wasn't just for your dad and your uncle. And the Hall of Fame, I don't think they take in entire teams. In other words, they wouldn't take in an entire football team or a whole basketball team, and they weren't going to take in an entire race team. But the way I look at it is that the entire family, or all the way down to the brothers that only raced a little bit, and your mom, of course, and your, everybody with that name, that was part of my presentation. So I think, in my mind, you're all in the Hall of Fame.
Well, when you get those two in, that's all of us. It's all the same. Those are, my dad and Leonard were the two that, they're the ones that did the car, did the driving, did the, night day stuff. And everybody else, was a part of it. So it's okay the way it turned out, because, with those two getting in the Hall of Fame, the NASCAR Hall of Fame also, I feel like I'm part of it. I feel like I'm a part of the Virginia Hall of Fame. Because I can say my dad's in there, my uncle's in there. And I know a guy, Al Pearce, I think he's in there.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you one more thing before we go. If you ever give me another 6-pack of white powdered donuts while I'm wearing a black shirt, you and your brother are going to be on my list for all time.
Eddie?
We handed them to you. We thought you'd be smart enough to get a paper towel or something.
I'll give you $20 to do it again, Eddie.
That was one of the.
The police would see you.
I'm not sure that shirt ever got cleaned.
No, you can't get that stuff off.
I know it. God bless little Debbie, but I hate them white donuts. Eddie, thanks so much. Listen, I didn't mean to keep you this long. I know you want to go to Darlington and get things squared away for the weekend, but please give my best to Lynn, and I'll see y'all this weekend. And especially give my best to your dad and mom. And,
I will. I just came from Virginia. I'm almost back to Charlotte now, so I've enjoyed talking to you guys. If you ever do it again, let me know. I like to talk to you guys. You guys are racist.
Well, we'll get what I thought would be fun to get you and Lynn, to get you and your brother on at the same time, and try to get little stories going there about you two guys. But we'll do that some other time.
You just let me know.
Listen, have a safe trip to Darlington. I'll see you Friday.
All righty, thank you guys.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks for calling in. For us calling you.
I was in New Hampshire about 5 years ago, and I had on a black Autoweek shirt. And I didn't notice. They were sponsored by Little Debbie, and they gave me one of these 6-packs of white powdered donuts. I started eating them. And I never looked down. I didn't notice that powder just is everywhere. That powder just, it was on my face.
When did somebody finally tell you that you were a mess?
Eddie and Lynn finally said, you look like an idiot. Well,
they couldn't even say you looked awful cute or anything. Right?
I got through about 2.5 of those little white things, and I had white powder all over. It was all over me. And it got on my hat. I don't know how it got on my hat.
I don't like you take a bath in it.
God, it was awful.
So as you think back, how many places had you been and how many people had you talked to before someone actually told you that you were a mess?
I was standing right there. No, he and I and Lynn were just talking. No, if I had walked, I'd have probably...
Okay. I just wanted to know how many people you passed that day and how long you went around with a shirt looking like that and no one has said a word.
It's almost as bad as somebody came up behind you.
I laughed about that for 2 years.
It couldn't be no worse. Somebody come up and put a sticker on the back of his back and say, kick me or something,
All right, let's go eat. I gave you 16 minutes extra tonight, right?
Oh, I still got people asking questions. I don't know if you notice on your screen up here, all the stuff over on the left side that keeps popping up. Those are people that have been asking questions. I've been trying to get some of them and put them on there.
Well, you haven't read
it. They wanted to know something about Jeff Gordon a while ago or something from you, but they wanted to talk Jeff Gordon with you.
Well, he's the man to ask.
Really?
He's got all the data. It's fresh in his head.
All right, 46 NASCAR girl, go ahead and ask your Jeff Gordon question real quick. Al's the historian man. Thank you, Moss. I know typing is slow at times, especially on smartphones. What do you think Jeff Gordon's going to win a race?
No.
Think he'll make it into the chase?
Yes.
You know he's hungry.
Yeah.
No, I'm just telling you. He'll make the chase. He'll probably
All
survive.
right, why do you think Jeff Gordon's having such a bad season?
His car's not as good as it used to be. It's not him. It's not his fault. But he's as good as he ever was. I can't imagine he's lost that much from last year.
He'll come back.
Will Kevin win?
Circumstances, you know.
Will Kevin win the championship?
No.
Yeah, no, he'll come back.
And they said you need to get your white donuts from Schrader, by the way.
He'll probably come back.
Well, Fred wasn't their driver at the time. Their driver at the time was...
And they're asking him, how do you think Truex will do?
Might have been Baby. I don't know. Anyway.
All right, we're out of here. I appreciate everybody joining in on the show here and on Periscope.
You want me to hang on
Share it with your friends
Yeah,
and make sure you leave some hearts on a rebroadcast.
I'll get back to you next
This is
week.
Roger with Let's Talk Racing. Thanks again. And I got to go back and close out the other one too. In here. Where are we at?
Monica.